Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. Even after all these years, there are still times when I find things that even surprise me. In this case, this is one of them. Now, at this point in the trim, there's nothing really too out of the ordinary here. It's an obvious white line issue that's starting to unveil itself, but we've seen those before. So what is it? Well, you'll see when we get there. Now we can move on to the knife work, and we'll see what we find. Well, there's a whole bunch of little rocks packed in there. Is that out of the ordinary? Not really. How many of you think it has something to do with this little red spot here? Nope, not that either. Now, by this point, I'll bet you're thinking I'm trying to pull a fast one on you, right? That there's actually nothing wrong here at all. Oh no, that is not the case. What surprised me is that's exactly what I thought was going on. I thought, man, this is going to amount to nothing. But what you're about to see, well, it's going to prove otherwise. One of the questions I get frequently is, how do you tell natural hoof color from separation? You see this hoof color here? This is natural. It's in all of the layers of hoof. As we slide down to the area we're working on, see how that hoof is white, but up behind that is that dark coloration? That's how we know we've got separation and that there's a pocket behind that, and that's what we need to go after now. The opening to this area of separation is really small, so I'm trying to expand on that so I can get the hook of my knife in there to open that area up. Now you might be wondering why I'm dishing out above that mark. Why not below it? It's because these things always originate from above where that mark in the sole is, just from the way that that hoof grows over time. I know that that lesion is ultimately going to be higher. That's where I'm going to work it out. And as we get this notched out, you'll see that's exactly where that lesion is hiding. But first, let's get this claw prepped and get that block applied. When the temps are colder, it takes a little bit longer for that glue to set up and cure. So I want to get that on there as soon as I can in the trim. Knowing where this problem is, that block is not going to be in my way when I'm trimming. So we'll get that on right now. Are you still doubting me at this point? Well, we're about to get there. It's time to go after this, expand on this, find where this lesion is, and explain exactly what's going on. So let's explain the setup a little bit here. What we've got is a small entry point on the sole of the foot. On the inside, we've got no exit point near the top for that pressure to escape. So what ends up happening is that corium on the inside of there becomes inflamed and it starts to swell. So it's literally pushing up tight against that sole as that inflammation progresses. So what we have to do now is, in order to take that pressure off, we have to remove the horn from around that affected corium, that is being insulted by the bacteria and the natural processes of fighting off those bacteria. That swelling in there, that's what's causing the discomfort, and that's why she shows those signs of lameness, that limping on that foot. The trimming of this hard outer horn, that doesn't have any sensation to it whatsoever. It's that corium underneath. Now, the interesting part about this, not the interesting necessarily, but the part that was surprising to me is the appearance of this corium when I get in there. You're going to notice it's not the right color. That's the concerning part for me. Whenever I see that, I know that these are going to take multiple visits to get to heal, because we need an extra step in there. The first one being to get that corium to slough off that outer layer. You can see how it's gray, discolored. That's not healthy corium. We want nice pink corium. So when I ultimately treat this at the end, that salicylic acid is going to help remove some of that gray coloration to it. We're going to get some nice healthy corium. But when I come back in a couple of weeks, this is likely not going to be covered over like you usually see, because that corium is not healthy. It takes time to get that corium back in the right shape to be able to produce the hoof horn that we need to cover that area up. So likely we'll see a minor shrinkage of this lesion, might be starting to see some horn production around the edges, but I would bet in a couple of weeks we're still going to have an open area in the middle that we're going to need to treat once again. As I work to trim here, I want to expose fully the lesion itself, and I want to thin the margins all the way around just to make that hoof a little more pliable. Here you can get a better view of that lesion itself. You can see that discoloration that I was talking about earlier, that gray appearance. We want that corium to be nice and pink in there. That's when that's going to create that nice new layer of hoof horn over the top, which is ultimately going to close this area up. The chlorhexidine is going to do a good job cleaning this area out and killing the bacteria on the surface, but the real workhorse here is going to be this salicylic acid. That's going to exfoliate some of that damaged corium away and ultimately give us the conditions we need to get this all healed up nicely. Get this toe cleaned up with this glue, and she'll be ready to go. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you all on the next one.